Hi, welcome back to CineSum. This movie name will be revealed at the end, please watch till the end. The movie starts with several news channels reporting about a deadly contagion named Saharan flu. The flu, which has a 100% casualty rate, has devastated the earth, and it is believed that nearly 3 billion people have passed away. Now, with the mortal population abating at a rapid-fire rate, the United States government has cooked a plan to save the race. They've decided to make 500,000 celerages, and a lottery will be conducted to elect the people who will be staying in it. Each cellarage will have only one tenant, and they will have to live there until the flu subsides. Once everything is back to normal, the people will be gathered again for a repopulation program. We're also shown the innards of the fallout cellarage, which has enough inventories stored in to last an astonishing 70 years. The restroom has access to a 24-hour water force, which is reclaimed and used again. For electricity, the occupants of the cellarage are made to do regular exercise. When it comes to food, they're simply fed with a protein shake called Supplevel, which emerges from a valve. The cellarage also has accurate rainfall representations. When it's morning, a sunny terrain will be shown, and when it's night, the room becomes fully dark. This helps the occupants control their sleep patterns. Cut to several times laterally, we're shown a group of 7 people drooling through a videotape conference. Although all of them are living in their separate cellarages, they do everything with the concurrence of one another. The 7 people are named after their separate metropolises, and Boston, a strict but soft-hearted Joe, is their leader. In one of these conferences, an aggressive man from the group named Orlando berates all of his musketeers. He also mentions that the outside world will no way return back to normal. Hence, they're trapped then their entire life. Boston and the others try to calm him down, but Orlando doesn't hear. Rather, he reveals his horrible history, where he killed 15 people and got a life judgment. One of the group members, Atlanta, who's an extremely religious woman, gets angry, confronts Orlando about the murders. The crazed killer simply replies that it gave him pleasure. Hearing this, the group gets shocked, and they wish to get relief of Orlando formally and for all. Luckily, there's an expert in the group, who goes by the name Denver. He mentions that he has learned how to hack introductory effects, and can conceivably turn off Orlando's transmission. Still, there's a catch. However, it'll be insolvable to get it back again if he turns off the transmission formally. This means that if Orlando's videotape calling capability is turned off, he may have to live the rest of his life alone, without anyone to talk to. The decision is a veritably tough one, so the group decides to bounce. 3 people, Boston, Atlanta, and a man named Chicago, vote for Orlando's transmission to be cut off. Still, a woman named Phoenix and another man, Houston, claim that the discipline is too severe and hence bounce against it. This leaves the decision in the hacker, Denver's vote, but before he can speak, Orlando himself orders the group to cut off the transmission, claiming that he is sick of seeing their boring faces. Obliging to his request, Denver hacks the system and makes Orlando vanish ever. That night, an insomniac Phoenix wakes up and addresses to Denver. They bandy the earlier incident, and Phoenix mentions that what they did was wrong. Still, Denver consoles her by saying that it was the stylish thing to do. Then, it's revealed that the two are in a relationship. Following this, the movie fast-forwards to 8 months in the future. Despite losing one member, the group has acclimated well to the situation. Still, due to an anomaly in the system, Houston's rainfall lights start changing suddenly. Because of this, he hasn't been suitable to sleep since some days. After a while, the group starts their usual meeting, and everyone reports their findings. It turns out that all the members are assigned with a particular task, like Atlanta has to keep a track of her group's health, while Denver is responsible for notifying everyone about the outside world status. This is possible because of the fresh computers in the cellarage, which show colorful statistics, like the quantum of people remaining in the world, the GIFs of all the group members, and so on. While everyone is busy with their tasks, Chicago, who's the least productive member of the group, gets wearied. He tells everyone that everything is futile, as they're no way going to see the outside world again. Boston tries to scold him, but Chicago presses a button on the computer, forcing the cellarage's primer to pop up on everyone's screen. Since the videotape cannot be skipped, everyone is forced to watch it. In the videotape, the cellarage's creator, Nadine, starts explaining the colorful amenities inside the cellarage and reveals that it's 30 bases below the face. After this, she mentions that all the 500,000 people are divided into groups, and one similar group consists of 7 people. Their only job is to help each other survive until the contagion is cancelled from the earth. The videotape ends as Nadine narrates that there is still hope left on this earth for humanity. Some days laterally, as the group is agitating in one of their regular conferences, their data computers suddenly shut down. Though Boston thinks that it's just a temporary disfigurement, the others sweat that their cellarage is starting to disintegrate. The strange thing is that the computers are down by each 6 of their cellarages, despite them being thousands of long hauls down from each other. Latterly, Phoenix intimately calls her Swain, Denver, and tells him that the system might have been compromised because of a loophole. The loophole started when they addressed into the system and shut down Orlando's videotape transmission. Phoenix also pleads with Denver to hack into the system again and bring back Orlando, as it might be the only way to restore their data computers back. Still, Denver mentions that bringing back the transmission is not possible, so it's not worth trying. Hearing this, Phoenix becomes angry and starts chronicling her life story. She reveals that her father failed at a youthful age and she was brought up by her mama. But while growing up, she started doing medicines and indeed ran down from home several times. One day, when Phoenix didn't find her store in her room, she suspected that her mama took it. Hence, in a fit of rage, she seized a brace of scissors and picked her mama to death. She was also confined in a maximum security captivity until the contagion broke out, and she won the lottery to the cellarage. After hearing the story, Denver becomes emotional and promises to get Colorado's transmission back. One night, he eventually succeeds and calls Phoenix to partake the good news. Unexpectedly, when they watch Orlando's feed, he's nowhere to be set up. In the coming scene, the couple shows the feed to the rest of the group, and as anticipated, Boston isn't happy that they took the decision without informing anyone. He's especially angry at Denver for playing into the system formally again. Still, the couple simply reply that they don't watch about advancing presently. At night, Phoenix formally again calls Denver and asks him if he can recoup some of Orlando's particular vids that he'd recorded. She mentions that the vids might reveal an indication to where he went. Denver obliges and incontinently gets to work. He puts his supreme hacking chops to the test and ultimately manages to download several of Orlando's particular vids. Also, the couple starts watching the vids one by one. Most of them are just Orlando working out without his shirt on. But in the last clip, the videotape is suddenly cut and only Orlando's riots can be heard. When the videotape comes back on, he has formally dissolved. It appears as if someone or commodity took him down. The coming morning, the entire group discusses the strange videotape and everyone's opinion is divided. Boston believes that they're safe in the cellarage and that they're simply overthinking. But Phoenix asserts that they have to find a way to escape before it's too late. On the other hand, Houston has started to go crazy because of his damaged rainfall lights. He has not slept in over a week, and as a result, he too supports Phoenix's plan of escaping. Still, Boston orders everyone to stand down until they've conclusive evidence. Unfortunately, effects take a turn for the worse that night, as a now crazed Houston starts banging his head on the wall. Everyone pleads with him to stop, but at this point, he has lost his reason. Just also, Houston's videotape transmission gets intruded, and an audio of someone shambling inside his cellarage is heard. When the videotape is back on, Houston is formally gone, just like Orlando. This shocks the group, and now they eventually believe that commodity is over. The following morning, Phoenix takes charge of the group and instructs everyone to find commodity in their cellarage from which they can escape. Piecemeal from the lazy Chicago, everyone agrees, and they start examining their place. The religious woman, Atlanta, is the first one to find a lead. She breaks open a pipe through which the sublevel protein is regulated in her cellarage. As the entire group watches nearly, Atlanta regards through the pipe and notices that there's a vacuum space on the other side. This confuses everyone, as the cellarage is supposed to be 30 bases buried from the face. But before they can ask anything, Atlanta's transmission is cut, and someone strongly takes her down. Witnessing this, the remaining group is devastated, as they realize that anyone can be restrained at any time. In particular, Chicago has lost his stopgap for life. He sluggishly proceeds near the main door and commits the unbelievable, leaving everyone devastated. Now, only 3 people are remaining in the group. Although Boston and Phoenix have accepted their fates, Denver isn't ready to give up so fluently. He starts playing into the system with all his moxie and eventually achieves an advance. He processes his district musketeers via a conference call and reveals that he has managed to hack into other survivors' cellarages. Boston and Phoenix don't believe him, but when Denver shows them the live transmissions of some other survivors, they're taken suddenly. Denver also reveals a strange thing. Although he addressed into the entire system, he was only suitable to find 1,000 cellerages, rather of the mentioned 500,000. Hearing this, Phoenix realizes that commodity is wrong. She also proposes to Denver and Boston that they essay to escape one last time. Boston asserts that there's nearly no way of escaping the cellarage, but Phoenix responds that there might be one. She mentions that if they cut the cables inside the cellarage, the door might open. The boys suppose that the plan is parlous, but Phoenix is now willing to put her life on the line. Hence, seeing her determination, the boys agree to the plan. But before they can begin, Denver promises to Phoenix that he'll travel across the country on bottom, if that's the only way to get to her. Following this, all three of them begin cutting the cables. As soon as they succeed, an alarm starts ringing, and the door eventually opens. The first one to venture out is Phoenix. Unexpectedly, the door leads to a normal-looking apartment with a large hallway in it. Phoenix had always imagined that she was inside a cellarage, but the verity was far from it. And before she can decrypt anything, Denver comes out of the coming door, inferring that they were living in the same structure for the 6 times. As the two grasp each other in joy and confusion, Boston also emerges from another door. In the coming scene, the three begin probing the strange apartment until they reach the sun deck. After 6 long times, they've eventually endured the sun. Meanwhile, Phoenix climbs a staircase to get a better overview of the megacity. Unexpectedly, everything seems to be running as usual. People are walking on the thoroughfares, and the business is crowded. A while laterally, Phoenix approaches her musketeers to partake the news, but they appear to be hiding from someone. It turns out that 2 people, who look like Bobbies, are searching for the triad. As there's no way to escape from the sun deck, Boston decides to produce a diversion so that his musketeers can flee. The plan works, and the couple rise downward until they reach an office. Suddenly, the creator of the cellarage, Nadine, arrives with a gun and threatens Denver to stand back. She also warns Phoenix to stay down from him, claiming that he's a dangerous person. Confused, Phoenix inquires about what's passing, and Nadine eventually reveals everything. It turns out that the cellarages are specialized incarcerations and all the people inside it are captures. Culprits like Phoenix Noe got out of captivity. They were simply transferred to the cellarages, as Nadine wanted to give them hope and a new purpose in life. Also, the Saharan flu Noe was, and the news reports on television were simply fabricated for the captures. Denver's enterprise also comes true when Nadine mentions that only 1,000 captures are jugged in the cellarages. Also, Phoenix asks why the captures are being forced out of their cellarages, indicated by the several recent discoveries. Nadine explains that when Orlando was demurred out of the group, his videotape was ever blurted to the public, and it caused a public outrage. They believed that similar captures were given too important freedom and luxury in the cellarage, and as a result, the government has ordered to shut down the design. Hence, they re-pulling everyone out to make some changes in the cellarages and putting them back in, until they can find a space in the captivity system for them. For the time being, their cellarages will be modified in such a way that the captures will have lower freedom, and their lives will come more uncomfortable. Unexpectedly, the disclosure shocks the couple, but Phoenix is still curious about one thing. She asks Nadine why Denver was confined, and the ultimate reveals that he stalked 15 women online and boggled them severely. Hearing this, Phoenix is devastated, as she realizes that Denver was just pretending to love her all this time. Soon, the police officers from ahead arrive in the room and knock the two out. In the last scene, Phoenix and Denver are taken to the same hallway, where they come across the entire group, except for Chicago. Orlando is also there, but when he tries to escape, he's shot and killed. The movie ends as the remaining 5 survivors are transferred back to their separate cellarages, which have now been converted into a grim, spooking room. This is a science fiction movie called Domain. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to watch more cine summaries like this, turn on notifications and press the like button to support us.